Broadcasting from GCTV Studios, welcome to a special episode of This Week in Grafton Government. I'm Amy Marr, and rather than recapping the past week in municipal meetings, I'll be talking to our town moderator, Dawn Anderson, about the town meeting scheduled for Monday, October 18th at 7:30 in the Grafton High School auditorium. Thanks so much for being here with me today, Dawn. It's an honor to welcome one of our biggest fans of the show.
I am one of your biggest fans, and I share it on my Facebook.
Awesome.
All the time, so I'm very excited to be here today.
That's awesome. So for those residents who maybe don't know, who is Dawn Anderson and what does the moderator do?
I am a resident of Grafton. You have to be elected moderator. I love to run, and I take lots of pictures on my runs and post them to Instagram. Moderator is in charge of town meetings. So twice a year we have our annual town meeting, and the moderator is responsible for making sure that the meetings run smoothly and efficiently, and that everyone is given the opportunity to express their views and opinions, and that we maintain one of the oldest ways to conduct town government in this country, which is really awesome.
I think a lot of people don't realize that the town meeting is the legislature of the town government.
Yes, that it's not the same as school committee or the select board, which is falls under open meeting law. It is a legislative body that when you're at town meeting, it's as if you are a senator on the floor of Congress.
And all you have to do is be registered to vote and live in the town.
And live in town.
Anybody can come and vote.
Can come and vote at town meeting. And Grafton has what's referred to as an OTM, which is open town meeting, so it's open to every single resident. Other towns that have gotten a little bit bigger but aren't yet a city will have representative town meeting where their districts, their precincts vote for a representative, and that person goes to the town meeting, and it's a little bit different. So they're smaller. They tend to move a bit quicker, as some of our meetings have been known to go long.
But you're going to keep this meeting on track, and
yes.
We're going to get into some of the logistics of that meeting right now. So I've already said at the top that the meeting starts at 7:30 sharp. I know you're always very prompt, and check-in starts at 7 o'clock. The check-in will be in the high school commons. If you want to get through the line fast, I recommend as an election worker that you bring your driver's license, because the election workers can scan that and check you right in. You don't have to go through the whole name and address thing. And that'll help keep moving things along. Copies of the warrant are going to be available at check-in.
Yep.
But at the end of the program, I'm going to show you how you can get to it online right now. So Dawn, I know we're still kind of in the midst of this COVID thing. How are we going to deal with COVID at the town meeting?
So because the town meeting is being held at the Grafton High School auditorium, they fall under the requirements of the Department of Education, elementary and secondary education. So masks are required. There will be disposable masks available at check-in in case you forget, but if you do not have a mask, you can't come in the building. That's above my pay grade in that decision making. So, and inside the building, Evan has actually had experience in Munson where they had to have a socially distant indoor meeting last year, and he and I and William plan on arriving a bit early for the meeting and marking off chairs so that there'll be painter's tape separating the chairs so that it's kind of in a bric-a-brac, so that'll maintain social distancing.
Oh, that sounds neat. So what about people who want to speak at the town meeting, if they want to get up and talk? How's that going to be handled?
We will still have the microphones, just like we did on the football field the last 3 meetings, and as we have always done in the prior meetings. We'll have microphones set up at the front of the auditorium, and there will be hand sanitizer stations there if anyone feels that they want to, clean up if they've touched the microphone at all. So, and the way that process works is I open the floor for discussion. You have something to say, you come down, and I will recognize the microphone and ask you to say your name and your address so that we know you're a registered voter, and then you can say your piece.
And how are we going to do the actual voting this time?
Well, we have a clicker system that hasn't been used since 2019, and I spoke with Candy LaValle, our town clerk, and she and I decided using that might be more problems than it's worth at this stage, because I've never used it, Evan's never used it. So we thought we'll give ourselves till the spring to bring those back into effect, and we will be using our thumbs up, thumbs down paddles from the spring.
Well, those are fun.
Yes.
That'll be nice and easy for the first timers as well.
Yes.
Well, it sounds like you guys have thought of everything in terms of COVID and safety. I'd like to get a little bit into the warrant itself, because for people who haven't ever been to a town meeting, the warrant is comprised of articles. Each article is a different type of decision. It might be transferring money from one account to another. It might be a policy change. It might be a change to the bylaws. And each article is usually pretty unique. But I'd like to talk about something that's fairly new to Grafton, that I think a lot of people, maybe they're not familiar with this, but those of you who went in the spring, you know, the idea of this consent agenda. I know the first 16 articles on the warrant are grouped into 4 consent agenda items. Can you talk a little bit about how that works?
So the way that works is it takes similar articles. So the first 4 articles are going to be pertaining to land donations. And those types of things, just the reading of it and the voting of it and the counting of it can be very time consuming, but it isn't something that's very controversial or isn't something that requires a lot of debate. So Evan has grouped them into 4. So the first, as I said, is land donations. The second one will be Community Preservation Act articles that are all about community preservation. Consent 3 will cover infrastructure expenses, of that nature. And then consent 4 is road construction easements. So anytime, there's different places around town where we've been repairing the roads, and that would be covered under road construction easements. So all of those will be grouped together. If someone does have a article that they have specific thoughts on, when the consent motion is read by the select board member, I will read each article number one at a time and allow for anyone to just simply speak loudly but not aggressively, hold, and then that article will be pulled out and we will vote on the remaining as a group. And then we would address the article that was kept aside.
Is there discussion on a consent motion?
Yes, in the sense that I say, is there any questions? Like, I think that's one of the things, is that you want to have the hold as ability, but then are there any discussion on the consent articles? And someone may not have felt like they needed to hold an article, but they might be like, I kind of have a question about why there's all these road easements. Are we ever getting all the roads in Grafton fixed? Or, no, it's an ongoing process that never ends.
Right.
I've been living in Brigham Hill Road for 13, going on 14 years, and I feel like there has been road construction. And Brigham Hill is a long road. So from the Wyman Gordon end all the way to the corner by the police station, there's always something going on. So to answer that.
Yep. Great. So that's the first 16 articles. I did want to kind of get your maybe your thoughts on what do you think maybe are some of the more controversial items that we're going to see at this town meeting.
I think 17 and 18 are pretty simple. Those are, but we've got one that's exciting, I think, given that it is a town meeting, that we are actually have a proposal that was submitted by the select board to change the day of town meeting. So instead of it always being on a Monday night, that we would transfer that to a Saturday morning at 10:30 and have it be, I think, more open to people being able to fit it into their schedules. So that is going to be interesting.
I can't imagine too many people being opposed to that.
I think after the last 3 meetings that we've had, that I feel went, given the circumstances, exceptionally well. And the attendance was very good. that it would, I think this is the time to actually make that move when
Yeah.
people have become accustomed to having it outside.
Yeah, no, I think that's good.
I mean, nope, I did not say outside. Having it on a Saturday.
Having it on a
I'm
Saturday.
not making any commitments that it will continue to be on Saturdays.
That's a major production, having it outside. I think people
It
may not
is,
realize we're talking thousands of dollars.
Jumbotrons, not cheap.
No, who knew, right?
No, you know, all the seating on the field, I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah,
That's a lot of chairs. And,
especially when half of them aren't even being used.
and they're not being
you
used,
have to
but
set
you
them
have
up
to set
because you
them
have to
up
be able to accommodate.
yes, and you know, and then there was, I know you may not remember it as vividly as I do, but being outdoors, you're open to Mother Nature, acts of God. Awnings can fly about and almost decapitate your moderator, so I think having it indoors might be a bit safer for myself and those of us who were up in the front under those tents.
Well, and you know, for those who aren't under the tents, we're just baking.
Yes,
On
I
the
do
football
want to
field.
give a shout out to a group of people who came with their own pop-up tent.
Yeah, that was nice. Good
Yeah,
for them.
it's
But
like-
I needed to be in the middle of the action, so I just sat there and roasted.
Yes.
But let's go on to Article 24, because this one,
Yes,
we've
that's-
seen something similar to this before.
Yep.
The article asks us if we want to make our town clerk position appointed rather than elected. Can you talk about what happens if this article passes?
This is a change to our charter, so it would change the provisions of how a town clerk is. Well, it's currently an elected position, and this would be changing it to an appointed position. And that means that we would be changing the town charter. It would require a majority vote at town meeting, but then this spring, it would go on the ballot for the larger group of people to vote on it as a town, which I think would give people the time to really reflect on what it is and what that change would mean for the town. So it has come up before, back in 2017, and it did not pass, so it should be interesting to see how it goes this time.
Yeah, so everybody would get a chance to vote on it May 17th
Yep.
when you go to the vote in the municipal election.
Yep.
Oh, interesting. The other barn burner, I guess, is going to be Article 25, which is the last article of the night. And that pertains to everybody's favorite plot of land, 25 Worcester Street.
Yes, that is going to change the wording of the restrictions to remove the 55 and over restriction on the way the land can be developed.
Right.
Which I have heard from several citizens already. There is a lot of interest in this. I'm not sure. I'm not sure why there is. It's just we can't, as I said to someone, we can't stop talking about this plot of
No,
land.
we can't. It's everybody's
We
favorite.
can't.
Yeah.
No. So
Yep.
that's
It's
the
a hot-
last one.
It's a hot commodity. That'll be the last one of the night.
That'll be the last
So
one.
let
of the
me ask you
night.
this. I didn't prepare you for this. So I'll give you a chance to think about it.
Okay.
At the last time we went over the warrant, it was myself and Colleen and
And
Mark
Mark.
Haddad, and
Yeah.
we had predictions.
Yes,
How
we
many
did.
people are going to show up, and how long? What time were you going to get out of that meeting?
Okay, I have given this a bit of thought because I was in charge of deciding where the location would be, and I felt comfortable having it indoors, given that the average amount of people who attend fall town meeting are between 75 and 90.
Really?
Yeah. So I think there will be 86 people. And it's starting at 7:30, and I think we'll get out of there at 9:45.
Ooh, really?
Yep.
You are an optimist.
I am an optimist.
Well, I'm a realist. So I'm going to say there are going to be 100 people, and we are not getting out of there until 10:30.
Oh, see, I'm hoping that the consent agenda, which takes those first 16, if
There's gonna
those
be
go if those go smooth, that means we're really only dealing with 17 to 25. And
Three of which are going to generate
and three
a
of
lot
them
of
are going to
discussion.
be, I think, the balance of them will be less.
I hope you're right.
I am
I
optimistic.
didn't want to be right when I made my predictions in the spring, but I was.
Yes, you were.
So maybe I'll be wrong.
Yep.
But anyway, I did promise everybody the warrant is going to be available on paper at the meeting. But if you want to read it ahead of time, and I can't stress this enough, everybody should read the warrant ahead of time. You don't want to walk into this meeting having no idea the order of things, what we're talking about when. You can go right now to www.grafton-ma.gov/warrant. That's spelled WARRANT. And this is a shortcut that got set up today by our communications specialist, William Blake. It's going to bring you right to that page of the town website that has all of our town warrants and the finance committee recommendations for each one. So take a few minutes, and it's a short, relatively short warrant this time. Read through it, come with your questions. I like to make little notations in the margins of a copy, like which way I think I want to vote.
I did that too.
Do you do that too? Well, that
I
makes you a
did.
good moderator.
I think that's why I was approached, because I am a bit of a town meeting nerd.
Yeah, me too.
So I was like,
I used to knit at town meetings, but I don't do that anymore. I have to actually pay attention.
now you do.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
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 So that's all we have for this week in Grafton Government. Remember, town meeting, Monday, October 18th, 7:30 p.m., Grafton High School. Check in at 7 o'clock in the high school commons. Wear a mask and get your vote on.